Hey everyone, we need to talk about some really significant and, frankly, life-altering policy updates that are reshaping the entire landscape for newcomers and their sponsors here in the US. If you're involved in sponsorship, or even if you just know someone who is, what we're about to cover is absolutely crucial.
The rules for refugee sponsorship are changing so fast, it could make your head spin. And that leads to the big question, right? What do these updates actually mean for you, for the people you might be supporting, and for all of our communities? Let's break it all down. Okay, let's just dive right in. The ground has really been shifting under several key programs, especially over the last year or so, heading into 2026. We're going to walk through exactly what's changed, who it affects, and most importantly, what you can do about it. All right, first up, we're going to tackle the heart of the recent news, the status of three major sponsorship pathways. We're talking about the Welcome Corps. The CHNV program, that's for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, and of course the Uniting for Ukraine program, which you probably know as U4U. So here it is, just a quick snapshot of where things stand. As you can see, the Welcome Corps, it's been fully terminated. For the CHNV program, termination notices are actively being sent out right now. And for Uniting for Ukraine, or U4U, new applications have been paused. Now, let's dig into what each of these really means. The thing to understand about the Welcome Corps is the finality of it. The State Department ended the program back in late February of 2025. This isn't just a pause, it's a full stop. All new and even pending applications are just not being processed anymore. That door is officially closed. Now, for the CHNV program, this is a situation that's happening as we speak. Since mid-June of 2025, the Department of Homeland Security started sending out these notices, and they terminate two huge things: humanitarian parole status and work authorization. And this is so important. These notifications are showing up in people's MyUSCIS accounts, so it is absolutely essential to be checking those accounts constantly. Okay, so Uniting for Ukraine, its status is a little more complicated. Both U4U and CHNV are built on something called humanitarian parole. Think of it as temporary permission to be in the U.S. for urgent reasons. The key difference here is that the government has paused U4U for new applicants who are still outside the U.S., and that is very different from what's happening with Ukrainians who are already here. This timeline really helps make sense of it. See, the pause on new applications started way back in January 2025. But then, in August, something important happened. USCIS started processing applications for re-parole again. That's basically a renewal of that temporary status for Ukrainians who were already in the country. So what this all means is, while the door is closed for new folks to come in through this program, there is a path for those already here to extend their stay. So beyond legal status, there's another massive area of change, and that's access to healthcare. New laws have put up some serious new roadblocks for newcomers trying to get health insurance, and it's really, really important to understand who's affected. This new law, H.R. 1, has drastically cut back on newcomer access to health insurance. And we're talking about both the plans on the Affordable Care Act marketplace and big federal programs like Medicaid and CHIP. So its impact is incredibly broad. And what this law did was create this really sharp divide. All of a sudden, a whole lot of newcomers are no longer eligible. We're talking resettled refugees and asylees who don't have their green cards yet, people with TPS, and most folks on humanitarian parole. On the other side, those who are still eligible are mainly green card holders and a few other very specific groups. This is a profound shift in who can get basic health care in this country. Okay, I know that is a lot of really challenging news to take in. So the most important question now is, what do you do about it? Let's switch gears from the problems to the practical steps you can take if you, or someone you're sponsoring, has been hit by these changes. Listen, if there is one single thing you take away from all this, let it be this quote from welcome.us. If your primary status is humanitarian parole, you need to talk to an immigration attorney right away. I mean, immediately. This is not a wait and see kind of thing. Getting professional legal help is absolutely essential right now. So what does that look like? If you get one of those notices, here's your 3-step game plan. First, find a lawyer. The American Immigration Lawyers Association has a great online search tool that can help. Second, get educated. Start digging into resource guides on what other legal options might be out there. And third, you have to know your rights, especially when it comes to any possible encounter with ICE. And to protect yourself from detention, here are 3 really tangible things you can do. 1, carry a signed Form G-28.
That's the document that proves you have a lawyer. 2, work with that lawyer to explore every single possible alternative for your legal status. And 3, I'm going to say it again, understand your rights. These are proactive steps that can make a huge difference.
Okay, now I want to talk directly to all the sponsors and the entire welcoming community out there listening. You have such a powerful role to play in all of this. It's not just about helping one person, it's about advocating for the whole system.
So what can you actually do to help? First, get on the phone. Contact your federal representatives. Let them know you support community sponsorship. Second, if you're sponsoring someone who's stuck in limbo waiting on a renewal, you can file what's called a constituency request to get an official check on their case. And finally, share this information. Knowledge is power, and a community that knows what's going on is the best support system there is.
So, we'll leave you with this question to really think about. There's no doubt these policies are a huge challenge to the very idea of community sponsorship. But that desire to welcome others, that's a powerful thing. As this whole landscape keeps changing, the real question for all of us is this: how are we going to adapt? How are we going to advocate? And how will we continue to build that tradition of welcome? Thanks for joining us.